Hello everyone, welcome to Level Chain channel. My name is Claudio Fonseca. I'm a real Boeing 777 pilot, and today we are going to use the FSI panel and application for Microsoft Flight Simulator Prepare 3D as well, that you can use together with the Pmdg 777 to practice your approaches or to train specific scenarios like this one. Okay, so today I'm going to show you what we are expecting. I have to tell you that I tried this scenario twice. Okay, the reason why I tried this scenario twice is because I wanted to make sure first it was running properly, and second because I only did one engine failure at takeoff with the 777 by Pmdg, and was in one of these scenarios, so I had to test to check if my controls here they were working properly. It's much more difficult to control the sim than the real airplane, but I think we can work with that today. Okay, so I'm going to show you first what is the scenario itself. So here we go. So now you can see what we are going to do is this British Airways flight 903 from Frankfurt to London, but basically I can already tell you that we are going to stay around Frankfurt. Okay, I'm going to read the important information about this scenario so you know what's coming up, and then we can discuss a little bit what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do this flight, and then after landing or after the crash we come back and we do like a debriefing to understand what we did it the right way, what was not so good, and what we can improve for another flight. Okay, so basically Jean-Pierre from FSI panel says this is a kind of license proficiency check. Okay, so this is license proficiency check is a simulator session where the instructor in this case, or the checker in this case, is going to check the pilots that are operating this sim to make sure they can handle the airplane itself, including emergencies. Okay, so as it says, is we can expect a random malfunction after V1. Okay, so we have our weather. So basically we are in Frankfurt Terminal 2, gate Delta 11. Okay, so everything, aircraft weight and fuel, will be preset by FSI panel. We are going to check that weight and fuel, so we make sure we have a fully understanding of our airplane condition. Okay, and we are also going to get our FMC and clearance as Sobra 9 Foxtrot towards Sobra, and then Yankee 180 en route towards London Heathrow. Okay, so the weather, what is important for us is the weather in Frankfurt. Every time I change the screen back to the sim, you are going to see that this is the weather that we have now. The wind is 270 at 8, so favorable for runways 25. Visibility 6 kilometers. We do have rain and overcast clouds at 800 feet. Temperature is 26 and QNH 1021. There is a tempo visibility of 800 meters. This reduction in the visibility is due to heavy shower rains. Okay, so basically the weather is raining, overcast 800 feet, and from time to time we are going to have some shower rains that can be an issue for our takeoff and especially for our landings. Okay, I'm going to show you the sim right now, because right now one of these shower rains is coming towards our airplane. As you can see, the visibility goes down a lot. Okay, So that's the weather that we have. That's the weather that we are going to see the entire session, okay? So we don't really care about London Heathrow, because as is written here, we are going to have a malfunction after V1 and we are going to come back to Frankfurt eventually, okay? There is an important note that there is work in progress close to the threshold 25 left, okay? So it says to monitor carefully ILS indication during approach, so we may have some issues with the ILS in case we need to come back, okay? This is the procedure. I'm going to do the procedure really soon, how to start this. Important notes here. Okay, we'll get clearance, taxi out. That's our taxi, okay? So we are on Delta 1. We are going to push back facing east, and then we taxi via November. November is all the way until here. And then this is taxiway Lima. So we join Lima, and after Lima, Lima 1 to runway 25 center, okay? So we are departing runway 25 center. There are some tips for this scenario. Cockpit preparation. Carefully review the one engine out strategy. A good strategy is to fly runway track to 25 nautical miles and hold, climbing to 5,000. This is what FSI panel has set on your fixed page, as well on route 2 on your FMS. So we are going to see that we have a departure, but in case we have engine related problems, we cannot continue on the standard SID that we read on top here. It is supposed to be Sobra 9 Foxtrot, okay, because we are not sure about our performance on this SID. So what we have is a straight in departure in case something goes wrong with our engine. So we climb straight ahead. Climbing straight ahead without turns will improve our climb capability, and we are going straight ahead in an area without any terrain. So we keep climbing 5,000 feet, which is well above the MSA for the area. So once we reach 5,000, we can turn to any side, okay? It's not a big deal, because you're going to see that once we are above 2,000 or 3,000, something like that, we'll be above the clouds, or we'll be VMC above the clouds at least, and we can start maneuvering anyway, okay? The speeds will be V1 137, VR 152, and V2 158. The gap here, the difference between V1 and VR is due to the wet runway, okay? And then departure. Here it tells us how to fly this departure. I'm going to talk to you about this. We may have fire, we may have engine failure, we never know. The malfunction will be random, so I also don't know what is coming. Okay, we are going to handle that. So we have to talk to ATC, and then a couple of things about the ILS, and then we already know at some point we even go around on the ILS, and then we come back to another approach, which is the RNP, because the ILS will be out due to that NOTAM that we read, okay? And it says, after landing as instructed by ATC, stop on the runway to let fire brigade join you and inspect the aircraft, okay? So that's what we have, a couple of frequencies that we are going to use today, and that's it. So today is about training, and I want to go back to the sim, and I want to talk to you a little bit, okay? First thing, let's see if you guys are around. Let me see my sim here, and want to go back to the sim, and I want to talk. Here we are. So no messages so far, but yeah, we are live. Okay, so that's good enough. Guys, I'm already on the live chat as well, so I'm going to read any message, any comment, any information that you have. We're going to discuss, okay? One thing that I want to highlight with you is, let's go to our sim, and let's go inside the airplane, okay? So once we are inside the airplane and we go on the checklist itself, if I go to the non-normal menu, we can talk about maybe engines, okay? And let's say that we have an engine failure, okay? So just a standard engine failure, okay? We have a couple of actions to do. We can even try to restart the engine, but what is important for me here is if we do all the procedure and we cannot restart these engines, okay, it says then at some point that we need to plan to land at the nearest suitable airport, okay? From this one that I just turned green, there is a question, okay? The question is basically, are we going to land using flaps 20? Yes or no, okay? If we say yes, it's very clear. We use flaps 20 for landing. If we say no, what is our flap for landing, okay? And then in this case, it comes here. Landing using flaps 20 if performance allows. Very important, if performance allows is yes or no, okay? So basically we have the option here to land with flaps 20 or flaps 30. I would say that there is a third option, okay? And that will be flaps 25. Okay, we are going to talk about this, but I also want to show you one more thing. If we go to unannunciated checklist and then we go to overweight landing checklist, okay, there is something that says a landing at a greater than the maximum landing weight is needed. So the first thing is that we have to refer, I will put this in green right now, refer to the landing climb limit weight table in performance in flight chapter, okay? And here is very important. It says landing gross weight is greater than the landing climb limit weight or one engine inoperative, okay? So if you are doing an overweight landing and one engine is inoperative, you have to go flaps 20, okay? There is no other option, okay? So if you are overweight and single engine, both cases, you have to go flaps 20. If you are not single engine, but you are overweight, the checklist tells you to go to your QRH and check for your landing climb limit weight, okay? Which is basically a combination of the approach climb and the landing climb limit weights, okay? So I'm going to show you that right now, and I'm going to use the LATAM manual. I like the LATAM manual because the LATAM manual is only for the Boeing 777-300ER. They have no other version of this airplane as far as I know. So this manual is specifically to this airplane, so we are not going to mess up with data from the 200 or the freighter or any other airplane. So we have the information here about the 300, okay? So we can go on the performance in flight, okay? And first in text, landing climb limit weight, okay? So what it says here is landing climb limit weight. In the event an overweight landing is necessary and the fuel dump system is unavailable. So Boeing is telling us a couple of things now. Okay, so this is a very, very rare situation, okay? So you have to land overweight because the fuel dump system is unavailable, okay? Or I will tell you another scenario where you think it's not safe to stay in the air and dump this fuel, okay? So maybe the fuel dump system is working, but I would say that is unavailable due to time, okay? So it says landing climb limits should be checked if a flaps 25 or 30 landing is planned, okay? So you are going to see, okay, I can land flaps 20, I can land flaps 25, or I can land flaps 30, Okay, so we already know if we were single engine, the only option will be 25. But let's say we have both engines running. It says that we have to enter the table with the airport temperature and pressure altitude to read the landing climb weight. Apply the note adjustments as required. At weights exceeding those shown, plan a flaps 20 landing. Okay. And it also says that the landing climb limit weight presents data which are the more limiting of the approach climb limit weight and landing climb limit weight. That's why Boeing calls landing climb limit weight. Okay, so you have the approach and the landing climb, both of them, they are there. Usually your problem is the landing climb. This is the worst configuration for the 777 usually. That's why Boeing called this way. But anyway, let's go then to this advisory information and landing climb limit weight. Okay, so here we are. Basically, if we want to approach with flaps 20 and land with flaps 30, okay, let's say that we want to land with flaps 30. Today we just check our weather, and the temperature was 26 degrees. Okay, so we are going to be looking at this line, and our airport elevation is roughly 0 feet. Okay, so we are going to be looking at this column. Okay, so basically if we go 0 and 26, you are going to see that anytime I'm below 376.8 thousand kilos, I can do a flaps 30, okay, which is the worst case. Okay, and the maximum takeoff weight for this airplane is 351 tons, which basically means for this condition, for sea level 26 degrees, I can go up to maximum takeoff weight and still come back on an overweight landing with flaps 30. Okay, maybe I will not be able to use flaps 30 because my speed for flaps 30 is above my flaps 30 limit speed. Okay, then I have to go to flaps 25, which is on the other side here, and the same thing. If you go 26 and 0 feet, you will see that the value is 378.2. So maybe you go flaps 25 because you do not have enough speed to use flaps 30. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you here is that the 777, the 300ER with these engines, it is a beast. Okay, so basically at sea level we do not have any problems with landing flaps 30. Okay, of course, if one more time, if you are overweight and single engine, then you go flaps 20. Okay, this is the certification of the airplane. Okay, but you have to understand that all of this was calculated for you to come two engines, okay, flaps 30 or 25, and then have a problem on one engine and perform a go around with flaps 20 at this weight that I'm showing right now for you, 378. So basically there is no issue for the 777 to land, most of the cases, especially if you are at sea level, to land with flaps 30. Okay, maximum takeoff weight, you see, would be around here, 38 and 36. So up to 37 degrees sea level, there is no issue for you to come back and land flaps 30. This weight will not allow you to land flaps 30 because of the flap speed, one more time, but performance wise it will be possible for you to go around in case of you lose one engine up to this weight. Okay, so why I'm telling you this? Okay, because if we go back to our sim, and I'm going back to our sim again, remember that on the engine fail checklist there is one point that it says landing using flaps 20 or landing use flaps 30 if performance allows. Okay, so most of the time on the situations that I showed you, not very hot close to sea level, there is no issue for you to land single engine with the 777. Okay, so we are going to check our weight today, and then of course if we are overweight we need to do a flaps 20, but if we are not overweight, I will choose today to land with flaps 30 for a couple of reasons. First, I showed you that performance allowed. Second is the flap that I'm used to land. Third one is because this is going to drastically reduce our speed for approach. Okay, so as I have no issues with performance and the airplane allows, I can go flaps 30, and this is pilot discretion. If you prefer flaps 20 for other reasons, no problem. I'm just showing people that do not know that with the 777 you can land with flaps 30 or 25. You don't need to go flaps 20 in case of single engine. With the 737 it's different. Once you have an engine failure, before the approach you will plan an approach with flaps 15 and you are going to land with flaps 15. What a lot of people do not know is that if you are on approach, you are already above flaps 15, even on the 7.3, maybe you are already configured for landing, maybe flaps 30, and then you have an engine failure, you have a couple of options. You can even revert to flap 15, or you can continue with that flap that you are approaching, okay? So this is an option on the 7.3 if you have the engine failure during the approach. But if you have to plan an approach single engine on the 7.3, you are going to come flaps 15 always. On the 777 this is not the same, it's not the same philosophy, okay? So I want to highlight to you that flaps 20 I would say is the non-normal flap for single engine. Yes, it is, but you can also use flaps 25 and 30, and a couple of times you will go for the flaps 30 because that will improve your margins related to the runway available, distance available for you to land, related to your approach speed, and the approach speed also influences the rate of descent. So sometimes it's better for you to have this extra drag with flaps 30 is giving you in this case, so you will need a little bit more thrust, but this airplane is capable of doing this, and a lot of things you can avoid bringing your flaps down to 30, okay? So all this conversation to tell you that depending on the weight, if it's overweight, I will come back flaps 20. If it's not overweight, there is a high chance that I will use flaps 30, okay? And these things should be discussed by the pilots before every single departure, okay? As I showed you, when I'm at sea level and with less than 37 degrees Celsius on the outside temperature, my plan is to come back flaps 30. If flaps 30 is not an option due to the flap speed, flaps 25, okay? So this is my initial plan, okay? And then if I'm in doubt about the values, if I can do flaps 25 and 30, I check this table before the flight. During the briefing itself, if I'm in doubt, but with experience, you will notice that what are the numbers, what are you looking for, okay? For example, if I go to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, I know I can come back with flaps 30 or 25. If I'm going to Paris, I know I can take flaps 30 or 25 until 30, 35 degrees with no issues, okay? So maybe if it's a really hot summer day, I will need flaps 25, flaps 20 in that case, but those are very, very rare situations. Of course, maybe if I'm landing in Quito, in Bogota, high airport elevations, yeah, then I will check that table to make sure in case I need to come back, I can go for the flaps 30 and 25, okay? So especially the altitude, the elevation of the airport plays a big role on this decision making about flaps 25 or 30 and flaps 20, okay? So that's the first consideration that I have, okay? We have here Murilo Soares, Denver Kramer. So Murilo Soares is member of this channel for 25 months. Amazing. Thank you so much, Murilo. One more time. Thank you so much. We already discussed the flap, okay? So basically, I wanted to discuss this in advance because I don't want to stop the procedure that I will be doing during this live stream to explain you about flaps 20 and flaps 30, or between flaps 25 and flaps 20, okay? So first thing out of the way. Second thing, how we handle malfunctions. And I'm going to, I didn't plan this, but I'm going to open Google here and I'm going to show you that if I write Aviate, navigate, communicate, I will have, and I search for images, let's see what I'm getting here. A lot of things. Okay, so let me show you this. Let's go to the internet, okay? If I search for Aviate, navigate, communicate, you are going to see many different ways of showing this, okay? And this is how pilots, they are taught since the beginning of their careers on how to handle not only no normals but normal flights itself, okay? It's very important for no normals, but it's also important for normal flights. So basically, you want to fly, you want to make sure your airplane is performing or is actually flying itself the way it is supposed to be, okay? Because there is no point for you to think about your landing flaps or your engine that is on fire if your airplane after takeoff is not climbing out of the runway, okay? Because even if you are handling the fire itself and you are not flying the airplane, you are going to crash that airplane, okay? So first thing is fly. And one thing that is very important, and I personally include in this flying part, are the Boeing memory items, okay? It doesn't come before pitch, roll, yaw, thrust, but is the next part, okay? So basically, if I have a failure like the one I'm expecting today, I will continue flying. I'm going to use the rudder if needed. I'm going to keep rotating the airplane, and I'm going to keep initially wings level as I go out. And then if it's really an engine problem, we are going to follow our engine out SID, which is continuing straight ahead. Okay, so this is the initial part of the flying itself, okay? But then at some point we are going to have to deal with memory items, if any. We don't do it before 400 feet because when you are very low, you want to make sure you are climbing out of the runway first, and you don't want to rush into the memory items because you can create another problem. But imagine that this failure can happen at flight level 350, the same failure. And then you will be in cruise level with the autopilot engaged, so the airplane is flying for you, and so there is no need for you to take controls. You make sure the airplane is flying, and then it's the time to go direct to memory items. Of course, if you are not really limited by your by the current ceiling of the airplane, the current performance of your airplane, and maybe you need to start going down immediately because you do not have enough thrust to fly single engine. Okay, so once you verified all of that, okay, the airplane is flying, I have enough thrust, I have enough margin, you go for the memory items. So memory items, I would go as part of the flying part, okay, sometimes even before the navigation, okay, if especially if you do not have to change your navigation, okay, if you do not have to change your navigation initially, okay. Talking about the navigation, we cannot have in mind and prepare for every kind of failure, every kind of technical issue that we can have, okay. It's impossible, because I may have an engine failure, I may have an engine severe damage, I may have an engine fire, I may have an engine surge or stall that is going to reduce my available thrust, but maybe I still have some thrust on that engine. Actually, even engine fires, usually they even increase the thrust on that engine if they don't maintain at least the same thrust. Sometimes if it's a fire and it's damage together, the thrust is going to reduce, so you never know what's going to happen with your initial engine fire anyway. So my point is, you cannot discuss and plan for every single thing, okay, but you have to have a plan, a common plan that is going to solve most of your problems, okay. So basically this common plan is the engine out SID, which today, as described on the briefing for this flight, is to continue straight ahead, okay. One thing that I'm going to do now, I'm going to start the training itself. Okay, so let me see, let me open here FSI panel, because I want to show you the engine out itself as we go along. So the system is downloading the scenario ATC pack, as you can see, and I want to show you our route in case we have an engine problem after takeoff, okay. And I will call this route as a very experienced captain from Virgin Atlantic in Australia called, especially there is a book written by him, 777 Procedures and Techniques. I don't know if it's used on his company or not, but he called this a mini plan. So basically, you don't have to have a complete setup of your navigation. You don't have to know that I'm going to this point, then I go to this point, and then I'm going to come back to this runway, okay? But you have to know what you are going to do immediately after takeoff if something goes wrong, or what you are going to do at flight level 350 if you cannot maintain your level. It can be for an engine failure, or it can be for a decompression. So usually in cruise flight we have our contingency plans. So what you're going to do in your SID itself, let's say that you had the problem not right at takeoff, but you had your problem at 5,000. Okay, 5,000, I'm already above MSA. In this case in Frankfurt, I can continue on my SID. Okay, but what happened if it's something in between? Okay, I'm going to continue, how I'm going to continue, and those things, they should be discussed by the pilots itself, okay. So let me have a look. I think I had an issue here because I didn't set my, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't set my FMC properly. So I'm going to do a state load and because I need my Aviate working to start this. So how can I do this? Not cold and dark, not hangar, not taxi, apron maybe. Let me try to bring this panel. Let's see if it works. Still not here. Let me just make sure what are the sequence for this flight one more time. So we start MSFS preset. Aircraft is AC powered. Okay, so we just need AC power and engines off. Okay, is this airplane AC powered with the APU? Yes, APU is running. So let's try to run the scenario again. Okay, so training scenarios. Start training. Let's see if this time everything is going to be set up for us. Okay. So I was telling you about these mini plans. Okay. So you need to have an idea at least where you are going to steer your airplane. So in case of engine out today, we know we go straight ahead. In case we have engine failure in cruise, we know different part of the world, we have different contingency procedures, and so on. So it's very important for the pilots to know where to start navigating. Okay, so basically when we talk about aviate, navigate, we have to always aviate. And as I told you, that is going to include, when everything is under control, your memory items. Then the navigate itself, it doesn't need to be your entire navigation, but at least initial part, what you are going to do initially if something goes wrong. Okay. The third one is the communicate part. Okay. What is the communicate part? The communicate part is the communication between the pilots itself. So it's important that before talking to somebody else, if they have any misunderstanding, they are going to correct this before proceeding. Okay. Of course, the pilots, they are communicating as they are flying the airplane, which is going to include setting the gear up, retracting flaps if needed, even adding thrust if needed, and everything. And then for the navigation part, is going to include maybe changing the lateral mode, even changing the altitude that you have to climb, because maybe you're going towards a high terrain or something like that. So the pilots, they are there, they are working on flying the airplane, they are working on memory items, they are working on that navigation, but they want to make sure that they are in the same page and they know more or less what they are doing. And by that, I mean, if they are navigating, if they are dealing with an engine fire and the engine fire is unextinguishable, maybe they are going to have a different navigation to do. So instead of continuing straight ahead, maybe it's time to come back immediately, make a reversal turn and come back on the opposite runway, or turning to join the downwind visually and perform a land. It means that that initial plan is important, is going to keep the airplane safe, but at any time there is a greater danger, the pilots, they have to talk about it and they have to decide what to do. Okay, so once they are in the same page, usually they are going to talk to ATC, because ATC needs to know what's going on, especially if they are deviating from a clearance, because we got a clearance, or we are going to get a clearance to fly a standard SID Sobra 9 Foxtrot, and ATC will notice that we are not turning left on this SID, we are continuing straight ahead. So they know most probably we have an issue, but we have to tell them, and then they can start providing us some assistance, okay? So it's very important to talk to ATC, asking for assistance if you need, and also to let them know that something is going on, or you are doing something that they were not expecting, because now you are in emergency, okay? And this communication will stay between the pilots and the ATC long enough until everything settles down a little bit. Of course, everything will be complete once you land, but at some point, the pilots, they will feel that the situation is under control. And when I feel that the situation is under control, when autopilot is on, airplane is flying where I want, memory items are complete, so the plane is flying, and I have to do very little to keep this the way it is, okay? At this stage, pilots, they have to decide if they are going to continue with that mini plan about the navigation or not, or if they are going to do something else, okay? So then they once again talk to ATC, and I think that is a very important time for you to give a heads up to the cabin crew, okay? Is it necessary? Is it written somewhere? No. But let's imagine that you departed Frankfurt and you had an engine fire. So you are not going to extinguish that fire until you are at least 400 feet, you properly identify the failure, and you start the procedures itself. I can tell you that it doesn't happen below 1,000 feet. By the time you have 400 feet, you finish the procedures at 400 feet, and then you start discussing the failure, and you start performing the actions to extinguish that fire, the airplane will be crossing 1,000 feet. So there is a high chance that passengers and even the cabin crew, they notice the fire, okay? Of course, all the passengers that are taking off on a window seat and are not sleeping, they are looking outside, okay? So they are going to see. Even the cabin crew, they are close by the doors, and they have a window on the door so they can see. If it's at night, then, man, this fire will be a beautiful view if you are not inside that airplane. So people will get stressed, and they want to know basically that the pilots are dealing with it. They know it can be bad, they know it can be even worse than bad, but they want to feel that the pilots know and they are taking action. And this can come with a simple standard call. It depends from company to company. I would say that attention crew at stations is enough, okay? So you are telling your cabin crew something like this: cabin crew, or attention crew at stations, or cabin crew at stations, or whatever. Something that is usually described by the company, but something that will give cabin crew and passengers the idea, yeah, they know something is going on, they are busy, they are working. Because if you don't do it, after this initial part, when everything starts to settle down, you will have calls from the cabin crew, you will have passengers standing up, you will have passengers complaining and trying to get more information from the cabin crew. So if you don't say anything, if it seems that the pilots, they are not connected to the airplane, this can create another problem in the back, okay? So it doesn't mean that at this time you know everything that's going on, you know how long it's going to take for you to land, or if the flight is going to continue or not, but that's a call, part of the communication part, that is going to tell the cabin crew, look, we know, we are dealing with it. And then you continue with your standard procedures. And I'm telling you, usually you do this even before you start the checklist itself, okay? About starting the checklist, Boeing says that usually you start the non-normal checklist once the flaps are retracted. Okay, so basically you have the memory items while you are flying, and then everything settles down. You continue retracting your flaps. Now flaps up. Usually at this time you go to your FMC, you set on your FMC that you have an engine issue, you are engine out, and you make sure to have maximum continuous thrust on your remaining engine if that's the case. And then this is the time you are going to go for your checklist. However, due to a modification on the engine fire checklist by Boeing, the second bottle for extinguishing the engine fire itself is not a memory item anymore. So before, after the first bottle, you had to time 30 seconds. If the fire does not extinguish, you turn the second one. However, the 30 seconds and the second bottle is still there, but is not part of the memory items. However, if you just use your first extinguisher bottle and then the fire does not stop and you keep flying like nothing is happening, retracting your flaps, going towards the point you were expecting to make your holding or whatsoever, and then you go on your FMC, engine out, maximum continuous thrust, and then you go for your checklist, the 30 seconds will be gone by a long time. Okay, and of course then you will open the checklist, you will make sure everything is there, and you are going to use your second engine fire bottle. Okay, but that's not how Boeing tells us how to do it. Okay, so, and I'm going to show you the Boeing document about it. So that's it. Let me go back. So one part of the Boeing flight crew training manual says everything that I'm telling you. So it says in case of engine fire, flight path under control, 400 feet, you accomplish the memory items. That ends with the first bottle, okay? But it says reference items should be accomplished by PM as soon as practical. Okay, so this is important. As soon as practical, it doesn't mean that you are going to go all the way. Okay, note, when Boeing tells you about engine failures, it says if you have an engine failure, the non-normal checklist, okay, is normally accomplished after the flaps have been retracted and condition permit. Okay, so this is normally. It doesn't mean to need to be always like this, especially one more time in case of engine fire. Okay, so in case of engine fire, have in mind that you do as soon as practical. Okay, I'm not inventing anything here. Is written by Boeing like this. Okay, this was changed because of this fire engine checklist and the removal of 2 memory items and the inclusion of the last 2 memory items as a reference items. Okay, so think about it. It's just like, I will give you another example. Fire on your landing gear, wheel well fire. Okay, so if you have a wheel well fire, there is no memory items for the wheel well fire, even though I do recommend that the pilots know the first action, which is to make sure that you are not above the landing gear limits and you set the landing gear down. Okay, so if conditions allow, if you are doing a normal takeoff, both engines are running, and you have an and we will fire, okay, because these two engines most probably will keep you flying away from the terrain. It's a good idea to set the gear down. I'm not telling you to do every time, because maybe you are in a high terrain environment, but if you are visual, if you know nothing is going on, why not to set the gear down, which is the first step of that checklist. I can even show that to you, okay? So if we come here on no normal menu, gear, right? So landing gear, and then no, this is not a landing gear because this is related to fire. It's supposed to be fire protection, and then fire wheel well, okay? So fire is detected in a main wheel well, so you do not exceed the gear extend limit speed, and you set the landing gear down. This is what is going to actually try to extinguish your fire, okay? So even though it's not a memory item, if you know the procedure itself and you have that in mind, that is not going to detract you from performing your SID and so on, you take your gear down, okay? Because you are on fire. You want to extinguish that fire as soon as possible. If you have, imagine you have an we will fire, then you say, okay, there is no memory items, then you keep climbing, you go to 1000 feet, 1500, maybe you are doing a noise abatement 1 procedure, and at 1000 feet you have thrust reduction, and then you are going to keep your flaps down, and you are going to keep your speed until 3000 feet, and then once you reach 3000 feet you start accelerating, and then you start accelerating, and then you start retracting the flaps, and now that your flaps are retracted, then you do your checklist. Man, the airplane will be on fire. Not only the gear at this time, but the entire airplane, okay? So have in mind what Boeing said. When you have issues, usually you wait until the path is under control, until you are at the configuration that you want. But for some failures, it's better not to delay the checklist, okay? So I'm not telling you not to fly, not to navigate, not to communicate, okay? But I'm telling you that this idea of, oh, the problems that I have after takeoff, I only deal with them once my flaps are up, is not completely true. And the same goes for the approach, okay? Let's say, okay, now I'm on the approach, gear down, flaps 20, and I have an issue. Oh no, I don't deal with this issue because I'm configuring the airplane for landing. Okay, then you're going to land with that issue. Maybe it can be a good idea if it's something that it can endanger the flight if you continue prolonged flight. Maybe it's the best idea to ignore everything if you can and continue and land and deal with that situation on the ground, which is going to even include, for example, cargo fire. But it doesn't mean that if you decided to continue your approach, everything is in place, you are stable, you know you are going to make that landing, and you still have 2 minutes to land, it doesn't detract you from going and doing the no-normal checklist for that failure, okay? So have those things in mind, okay? I think I already talked too much. Marcos Espíndola is also here, and I just want to come here now and do a reset, and I'm going to reset the no normal because I do not want the no normals here anymore, okay? So far there is no issues. Let me see if I'm missing something that I would like to talk to you. Oh, by the way, when I start flying itself, I will be alone, so there will be no FO. So I will have to do a couple of procedures differently from real life, okay? So I will try to make all the calls from pilot flying, from pilot monitoring, from captain, from first officer, but have in mind that I'm flying alone. So I will be flying, I will have to raise the gear myself, I will have to retract the flaps myself, and especially when I'm dealing with the memory items, that for sure is going to happen, I have to do it alone. So the process of confirming which engine is the problem and how we deal with the bottoms is going to be by myself. So do not expect a big theater here. So I'm going to make the calls that I remember, but don't take as a two-pilot flight here. Okay? So here we go. It says ATC instructions. British Airways, or in this case Speedbird 903 uniform, scenario starts now. Contact delivery, ATC is available 123.45. Click to acknowledge. Okay, so I'm going to click here to acknowledge. That's it. So here we go. We are going to hear the ATC just in case, and you'll get rid of my face.
Rain. Cloud overcast 800 feet. Temperature 26. Dew point 18. QNH 1021. Transition level flight level 60. Acknowledge received information Bravo on first contact.
Okay, information Bravo 1021. The same as we get before, right?
This is Frankfurt information Bravo. Departing runway 25 center in 18. Landing runway 25 left ILS approach. Surface wind 270 degrees at 8 knots. Visibility 6 kilometers. Rain. Cloud overcast 800 feet. Temperature 26. Dew point 18. QNH 1021. Transition level flight level 60. Acknowledge received information Bravo on first contact.
Oh hey, everything that we know, no issues. So we have information Bravo, and just to show you our engine out. So in case we go to legs 2, we are going to see a different route here. Okay, so basically what we have is and we do like this. So basically we have a point here that is aligned with the runway on this green line here. Okay, so this is the point that is aligned with the runway, and this is the point that we have to fly, which goes towards Delta Fox 151 at the end of the 25 nautical miles. Okay, so our SID is what you have in magenta here. So after takeoff we are supposed to turn left, but basically what we really have to do in case we have an engine problem before the point Delta Fox 134 is to continue straight ahead on the green line. Okay, of course the green line, you don't need to be perfect there. Okay, you need to keep going on that direction. Usually most of the companies, they create these procedures with some allowances for errors, just like the one you are going to see today. Okay, so I think we are all set. Let me see here. 246, 5000, everything looks fine. This one goes to our speeds, and this one goes to our legs page usually. Okay, this one goes 1021. Let's see what is our next checklist. Okay, which is the before start. So basically we are going to call now delivery. Frankfurt delivery, hello, Speedbird 903 uniform information Bravo, request ATC clearance to London Heathrow.
Speedbird 903 uniform delivery, Guten Morgen, clear the London Heathrow Asford, 25 centered, Sobra 9 Foxtrot departure, and your scope 4621.
Clear to London as filed, 25 center, Sobra 9 Foxtrot departure and squawk 4621.
Speedbird 903 uniform, readback is correct. When ready for push, contact apron. 121.655, schönen Tag.
When ready for push, apron 121.655. Speedbird 903 uniform. Bye-bye. Okay, so we have our clearance. The transponder is set. I can open our GSX if it works. Let's see. Parking brake was supposed to be there, right? I don't know why parking brake is not there. Maybe now it's going to work. Yes. So I'm going to prepare for pushback and departure. And here we go. Our before start flow. Seat belts. Hydraulic pumps. Fuel pumps. Beacon. And transponder to transponder. Okay, another thing. What is our weight today? So let's see. Takeoff, our weight is 225 tons. Okay, so we are way below maximum landing weight. So we can come back at any time. No overweight required, and even flaps 30 is good in this case, as we discussed in the beginning of this flight. So, now, before start checklist, flight deck door is closed and locked, MCP, V2158, heading 246, altitude 5000, takeoff speed V1137, VR152, V2158, CDU pre-flight completed, trim 475, let me make sure we have 475, yes, 0 and 0, taxi and takeoff briefing is complete. Before start checklist is complete. Okay, so you can see everything is ready for us, so we can go. Apron, hello, Speedbird 903 uniform, request pushback and start Delta 1.
Speedbird 903 uniform, apron, guten Morgen. Push and start approved, facing east on November.
Approved, facing east on November. Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, we are ready to go.
Commencing push.
Brakes released.
All engines clear. Start at will.
All engines clear. Okay, so we start, in this case, we go with the left one today. Due to the side of the turn. I was expecting to be flying during the day, but going to be night. No issues. And there we go. Starting our left engine. There we go. Now we're starting the right engine. So we'll be facing east on this taxiway here. Very nice, pushback almost complete. And we are going to be taxiing around to take off from here, Lima 1, okay? Would be much easier to push back on the other side and taxi out here, but maybe due to traffic or something, we are doing this way. Okay, so
Please set parking brakes.
Engines are stable. They want us to set the parking brake.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Okay, so let's confirm good engine start.
Pit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect. Unlocking gear.
Okay, so APU goes off. Engine anti-ice we do not need for today. Can even take a little less. Looks fine. Maybe on this side is a little bit too bright on the floodlights. Yeah. We can do the same on this side. Yeah, good enough.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Thank you so much. And now flaps 5. Next step, flight controls. Go down. Go up. Full left. Full right. Rudders. Bye bye, thank you. Full right. Full left. And before taxi checklist. Anti-ice, I forgot about the recall, so tickets off, we cancel. Anti-ice auto, recall checked, flight controls checked, ground equipment clear before taxi checklist is complete. So let me make sure we have the correct indications here. So I want all of this off. Only this is on, yes. So I want my beacon on as well. Yeah, okay. So now I know what I'm doing. And apron speedbird 903 uniform, request taxi.
Speedbird 903 uniform, taxi November, hold short Lima taxiway.
Taxi November, hold short Lima taxiway. Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, let me see if I'm doing this properly. Taxi light on, yes. And as it's getting dark, we can even take camera lights. Okay, here we go. Brakes released. Let's see if we are moving. No, not moving. Little bit of thrust. Now we are moving. There we go. Okay, so we know what to do. We are going to make a right turn and hold short the next taxiway. As you can see, it's still raining. Doesn't change much, but I can take wipers to intermittent. As it's not affecting me, okay, this would be the way that we were going to taxi, most probably take off with low, but as it doesn't change much here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm keeping like this, off. This is the first taxiway. It's a 90-degree turn, so I'm going to reduce 10 knots or below. Okay, now we have 10.
Speedbird 903 uniform, continue taxi Ording Point Lima 1 via Lima. When ready, contact tower 119.905. Shunpag.
Continue taxi holding point Lima 1 via Lima when ready tower 119.905. Bye bye, speedbird 903 uniform. Okay. So now we need to turn this taxiway here. Ten knots, 90 degrees turn, good enough. Cabin is ready. Oh, they turn on the lights of the airport now. Okay. As the cabin is ready, I will take weather on my side. FO takes terrain on his side. And then we can do before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete, checklist complete. We are ready to go. Power. Frankfurt Tower, hello, Speedbird 903 uniform, ready for departure.
Speedbird 903 uniform, tower, schönen guten Morgen. Runway 25, center, Lima 1, Zanapa, wait, expect departure in around 1 minute.
Via Lima 1, 25, center, line up and wait. Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, this is Lima 1 coming up. Guys, you will not see, but I'm turning my turn-off lights on to enter the runway. Also, my strobe on and my transponder to TA array. As it's getting dark, I'm going to turn on the logo lights as well. If we go outside, yeah, the logo lights, they are on. Okay. Departure looks clear. No need for any deviation after takeoff. So a little bit to the left here, and now we go right. We have to align this bird.
Speedbird 903 uniform, wind 2708 knots, runway 25 center, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 25 center, Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, landing lights on, and here we go. Takeoff. Set takeoff thrust. Thrust ref. Checked.
V1.
Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. LNAV. 200 feet. Autopilot. Thrust ref. VNAV speed. Fire engine left. Checked. We cancel master warning. So fire engine left. Memory items. Auto throttle left. Confirmed. Off. Thrust lever left. Confirmed. Idle. Now we need to go heading cell. 245. So fuel control switch left, confirm, cut off. Fire handle left. confirmed, pull. We still have the indication, so one bottle discharged. Flaps 1. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Speedbird 903 uniform. Engine fire. We are continuing straight ahead, climbing to 5,000 feet. Flaps up.
Speedbird 903 uniform, mayday acknowledged. Continue as per your company procedures and contact Longen radar 136.130.
136.130, Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, the fire is out. I would come here and say cabin crew at stations. So they know, we know something is going on. Okay, we are climbing, single engine. No issues. We can even use the speed intervention and maintain right now 240 knots is good enough. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Langen radar, Speedbird 903 uniform, climbing 5,000 straight ahead.
Speedbird 903 uniform, Langen radar. Hello, identified. Continue as per your company procedures and report ready for left turn. Expect ILS 25 left.
Roger, ILS 25 left. We'll call you for the left turn. Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, so flaps are up. We can start dealing with the procedures itself, but we can do the right turn, the left turn. You agree? Yes, I agree. Okay. Speedbird 903 uniform, we are ready for the left turn.
Roger, Speedbird 903 uniform. Turn left heading 090 and expect ILS 25 left via Charlie. Charlie Hotel Alpha.
Left 090, expect ILS 25 left via Charlie. Speedbird 903 uniform. So heading 090, as you can see, single engine now, the airplane barely climbs. Okay, so let's go, and as it is under control, perform our checklist. So I'm going to use this camera. Okay, so the checklist that we need is the fire engine left. Fire engine left, condition fire is detected on the engine. Fire message stay shown. In that case was yes. Left fire engine switch, rotate to the stop and hold for 1 second. Wait 30 seconds. We are ready. Wait for 30 seconds. It's more than 30 seconds. Fire engine message stay shown. No. APU selector. If APU available, start then on. So APU is available. Start then on. Transpond mode selector. TA only. And now we have right speed and VNAV out. Okay. Transponder mode selector. We can come here and bring it to TA only. And then plan to land at the new suitable airport. Yes, we know. We already discussed. We are coming back to Frankfurt. Landing use flaps 20. No, we'll be using flaps 30. Landing using flaps 30 if performance allowed. Yes. No, to use flaps 30 and VRF 30 for landing and flaps 20 for go around. Fire engine checklist is complete. No normal. Equipment cooling override. Condition: the equipment cooling system is in the override mode. Wait 2 minutes. Disallow time for any smoke in the system to clear. It's more than 2 minutes. It happened on our departure and we are flying for 4 minutes now. So I can clear this. So equipment cooling switch off, then auto equipment cooling override message blanks. Okay, off.
Speedbird
Auto.
903 uniform, proceed to direct Charlie. Assistance will be ready for you on arrival.
Direct Charlie, assistance will be ready. Thank you, Speedbird 903 uniform. So ILS 25 left via Charlie. That's the one that we want. And we can now fly direct to Charlie. So Charlie, direct, and LNAV. So airplane is flying direct to Charlie. Wait 1 minute, is almost there. We are going to have some fuel imbalance really soon. So this one. Maybe here on the right side. No, not the status. What I want is the fuel. So yes, makes sense. Fuel on the right side. Okay, so I'm going to do that in a minute because this checklist is timed to continue. So we are waiting for 1 minute. The 1 minute is getting over now. Equipment calling override message stays blank. Yes. Checklist is complete. Equipment calling checklist complete. Okay, now we go to the normal one. After takeoff checklist is complete. Couple of things that we still can do even before starting our checklist. As I told you, would be nice to come here. Now we are already in the descent mode. We don't need to set engine out, and the thrust is more than enough. Okay, so we are on VNAV. This one goes to legs page, and I can go and set my minimas. Okay, so charts, this should be done before departure. I know. Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot I didn't do. Approach ILS to 5 left. Cabin is ready for approach, if I'm correct. Yes. So minimas for these 5, 6, 1. Okay, so I'm going to set here 5, 6, 1. Too fast for both sides. Oh, come on. I hate this button. This is fast. 5, 6, 1. Okay, so our time now is 19:21, and we'll be landing at 31 in 10 minutes.
Are you ready for the approach?
10 minutes, I'm ready for approach. Hey farm, ready for approach. Speedbird 903 uniform.
Rover, Speedbird 903 uniform, cleared ILS 25
Flap up
left
speed.
via Charlie.
Clear ILS 25 left via Charlie. Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, now we know what we are doing. We can plan a flaps 30 landing. In this case, speed 141. Auto brake is 2 is enough for this big runway there. So we can do oh, there is another checklist now, the fuel imbalance that I told you. So condition, there is a fuel imbalance between the two main tanks. Objective to decide if a fuel leak is suspected and balance fuel. Guys, have in mind that the fuel imbalance, if there is a fuel leak, you have to shut down the engine. So as I have only one engine, I'm not going to shut down the other one. So I will consider that there is no fuel leak. Okay, so when it asks here, fuel leak suspected, no, it's because we have different fuel because we are running one engine. Crossfeed switch either on, so only one, we turn it on. Left main tank quantity is low, no, is the right one. Okay, so we need to continue. Right main tank quantity is low, yes. Right fuel pump switches both off. Right fuel pump switches both off. And then the next step is when fuel balancing is complete. Okay, so we do have fuel balancing in this case. We can do an ACAS review. Engine shutdown left, fuel pump right aft, fuel pump right forward, fuel imbalance, bottom 1 discharge engine, and auto throttle left. Everything as expected for this malfunction. So we can come here and call cabin chief to the flight deck, cabin chief to the flight deck. Okay, so they come, and we are going to see now that time is 23. We'll be landing at 33 basically. So hello, we had an engine fire. Everything is under control now. We are returning back to Frankfurt. We are going to land in 10 minutes, in 10 minutes from now. You do not need to prepare the cabin. However, we are going to stop on the runway after landing. After landing, please follow my instructions. Can you repeat? Yes, so it was a fire engine. We are going to be landing back in Frankfurt in 10 minutes, and no need to prepare the cabin. That is correct. Okay, so everything checked. So we are starting our procedure. And the next altitude is still 4,000 feet. Sorry, 5,000 feet. At this time, there is no time to call the company. ATC will inform that we are coming back. And the briefing for this approach, standard ILS approach. Most probably we brief even before departure. What is important in case of go around, we go to 5,000 feet. We fly Delta Fox 685. 290, then 685. And then we continue climb to 5,000. When we reach 5,000, we turn left to Charlie VOR. Okay, so that is understood. Everything is set. So we can do a recall. Same ones, engine shutdown, fuel pumps, bottle 1 and auto throttle. On the checklists itself, we can go for the notes. From the fire engine left, note use flaps 30 and VREF 30 for landing and flaps 20 for go around. Good enough. So we can go to the normal one. Recall is checked, notes checked, auto brake 2, landing data VREF 30, 141, minimums 561, approach briefing is complete, approach checklist complete, and descent checklist complete, and approach checklist altimeter 1021, checklist is complete. We are just waiting to finish the fuel balance or start the approach to complete the no normal about the fuel imbalance. Okay, so this is our approach for today. We can clear ACAS so we know if something else comes on. So this is VNAV, and now we can even descend to 4,000 feet. We are clear for the ILS, so 4,000 feet. I will set VS. And I'm going to go down 500 feet per minute. Flaps 1. And speed will reduce to flaps 1 speed. So normal approach, flaps 1, flaps 5, gear down, flaps 20, then flaps 30. In case of go around, toga, flaps 20, positive rate, gear up. Flaps 5. Reducing speed toward flaps 5, which is roughly 180 knots. Hello, have a good landing, say Aaron, thank you so much. So we have our ILS identified, India Fox Sierra Whiskey. There we go. We are waiting the fuel to be balanced. If we reach final and fuel is still not balanced, we complete the checklist anyway and we land with that imbalance. Out. So we are going to take the approach from 4,000 feet. So ILS is identified, correct sensing, we can arm the approach mode. Localizer and glide slope are armed. As 181 is a high speed. Let's see how is our approach. The wind is blowing everything from the runway. Okay, maybe we have a better chance if we delay a little bit this approach. Okay, so flaps 5 is good for now. We can do the standard Boeing procedure at glide slope alive, gear down, flaps 30, flaps 20, and then glide slope interception, flaps 30. So 600 kilos for the imbalance to go, not a big deal. Localizer is alive. Localizer capture. Glide slope is alive, so I'm just going to wait until the turn to complete. I do not want to extend the landing gear during turn. Maintaining 4,000 feet. Okay, here we go. Gear down. Flaps 20. Speed down to flaps 20 speed. I'm going to wait for the fuel imbalance. I'm confident I can do it later on. Not a big deal.
Speedbird 903 uniform, contact tower 118.780, see you.
118.780, Speedbird 903 uniform, bye-bye. So flaps 30 as we are going to intercept the ILS. Speed brake armed, and the speed can go down to VREF speed. 146. So in this case, normal landing checklist, flap is going there. So we change to the tower. Landing checklist is complete. Just a no normal to go. Fuel balance is complete. In this case I would say yes because I want to finish. So fuel pumps back to on, both crossfeed closed, fuel imbalance checklist complete. The next normal is the shutdown, so we can even close the checklist. Power hello, Speedbird 903 uniform, Mayday, ILS 25 left.
Speedbird 903 uniform tower, guten Morgen, wind 280, 6 knots runway 25 left, clear to land.
Runway 25 left, clear to land. Speedbird 903 uniform. 5,000 feet is the missed approach altitude. We can continue this approach then. So here we go. ILS runway 25 left. Single engine, flaps 30, as you can see. The thrust is quite a lot, I would say, for approach. 82%, yes, but we are single engine, flaps 30, but only descending 800 feet per minute. If I was going to do flaps 20, the speed will be higher. We were going to be descending 1000 feet per minute. And then you have all the issues related to the rate of descent. Okay, still waiting for the runway. The wind is pushing the big clouds away from the airport, so it looks good for us now. So everything is set. As we told the cabin crew, we're going to be landing in 10 minutes. It's going to be actually 11 minutes. Now it's 19:32. We set at 19:33. Okay, we lost glide slope, we lost localizer, autopilot, no auto land, not visual. Go around. Right thrust ref, LNAV, toga. Flaps 20. Positive rate. Gear up. Mayday, Speedbird 903 uniform going around.
Alright, copy the Speedbird 903, continue runway heading, climb 5,000 feet and contact London radar 136.130. See you later.
Runway heading 5,000, 136, 130, Speedbird 903 uniform. So runway heading is 246, 5,000 is there, 136, 130. So in case of single engine, I climb all the way to 5,000 before we start accelerating. Langen radar, Speedbird 903 uniform, Mayday, we are on the go around climbing 5,000.
Speedbird 903 uniform, London radar, hello again. Continue runway heading, climb 5,000 feet and you can expect RNP Yankee runway 25 left via Charlie.
Roger, now RNP Yankee 25 left, still via Charlie, Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, we are going to reach 5,000 feet.
Speedbird 903 uniform, turn left to Charlie.
Left to Charlie, Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay. So, as I'm alone here, Charlie, LNAV, right speed, LNAV out. Good enough. Okay, so now flaps 5. I forgot about the PA to the passengers on the first approach, right? Yeah, a lot of things to do alone. I'm going to do this time. Flaps 1 and flaps up. So we open the checklist. First one that we have is the fuel imbalance, the same one as before. So we do know that is not a fuel leak. So fuel leak suspected is no. Crossfeed, one more time, either on. Left main tank quantity is low, no. Right main tank quantity is low, yes. The right pumps, we turn it off. And now we wait for the fuel imbalance to be completed. So fuel imbalance, fuel pumps, and no auto land. We can clear the ACAS and we can do the normal checklist after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist is complete. This is checklist. Okay. Checklist no normal. I know. I'm going to keep the checklist open on the page that we were supposed to go now. Okay, so now RNP Yankee. So RNAV Yankee 25 left via Charlie. There we go. RNP Yankee 25 left. Now minimus is we do not do LPV, sorry. So category Delta 760 is our minimus. Everything else is the same.
Speedbird 903 uniform, are you ready for the approach?
Hey farm, we are ready for approach. Speedbird 903 uniform.
Roger, Speedbird 903 uniform, you are cleared. LNP Yankee 25 left via Charlie.
Clear RNP Yankee 25 left via Charlie, Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay, a couple of things that I'm going to change here on VNAV. I'm going to set speed to 20. Execute, which is the speed that we have. To 20 knots also on the descent. That's what we have. Everything else looks good. Missed approach is the same, 290685 after 5000 Charlie, which is correct. So all set. Okay, time for a PA. I forgot on the first approach. I'm going to do now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking again. We had an issue with some facilities at the airport. We are coming back to land on another type of approach. Expect to be on the ground in around 12 minutes from now. Once we are on the ground, I will give you more information about the continuation of this flight and your next preparation towards London. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for flying British Airways. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to talk to the cabin. Okay, call them and say hello. This is the captain from the flight deck. We had to go around due to the ILS malfunction. We are coming back for another approach. Same situation continues. We are going to be landing single engine in 11 minutes from now. There's no need to prepare the cabin. I think the cabin is ready. And one more time, once we are on the ground, I will stop on the runway and I give you more information from there. Do you understand? Yep. So all correct, done, and we can come back. So in this case, I want to use VNAV path. There we go. Fuel balancing. So I turn off the right ones. Yeah, I turn off the right ones. So everything is fine. It's just taking a while to get ready. Okay, 220 knots. Very nice. Okay, everything is as expected. This can go to legs page one more time. So recall, engine shutdown, fuel pump right aft, fuel pump right forward, fuel imbalance, no auto land, bottle 1 discharge, engine auto throttle left. We can cancel. Notes, they are the same. We use flaps 30, VREF 30. We can even update these now to 140. And VREF and flaps 20 for go around. So descent checklist, recall is checked, notes checked, auto brake 2, landing data VREF 30 140, minimum Sbarus 760, approach briefing complete, descent checklist complete, approach checklist, altimeters 1021, approach checklist is complete. From this camera I can click on no normal. We are just waiting the fuel to be balanced. We are inbound now, the first one, so we can do like this. So I'm going to select flaps 1, but because we are still in cruise, nothing is going to change, so I can ask for descent now. Now we have VNAV out. Next altitude on this approach is 4000. VNAV path is there, and we can control the speed. So we can reduce our speed to 200 knots. Flaps 5. Reduce our speed to 180 knots. João Ferrari, when are you going to do a share cockpit with some other 777 pilot? Well, first I think that they have to update the application to work with the 777. I'm not sure if that application is working with the 777, but it would be really nice to do like this kind of procedure with another pilot. It will help a lot, instead of doing everything by myself. We can even check the status message as we have time. We don't really care, but it says no auto land because we have failure on the ILS center, right and left. Actually, it's an airport issue, but to simulate this airport issue, FSI panel introduced us these failures. Bottle 1 engine, yes, and fuel spar valve left. This is a mistake by Pmdg. It was not supposed to be here anyway. So I assume cabin is ready for another approach. Yes. And now for this approach, 2 miles before final approach fix, we set gear down flaps 20. So final approach fix is this one. I can even put on the fix page. Now we don't need this one anymore. And I can do a ring of 2 miles. So we know where is 2 miles. So that's the time for us to set gear down flaps 20. It doesn't look very promising with this amount of weather. Yeah, but on the airport it looks okay right now, so I don't want to delay this approach now. It says that it's working, but I have to download the profile for the 777. Okay, I'm going to check that. Thank you, Ferrari. Thank you so much. I'm going to check that. Will be really nice to try the 777 to see if the checklist works for both. And even if I introduce one failure from from my side, if the failure goes to his side as well, as it uses the FMC to do it, maybe it's working. I hope it does. I'm going to take the weather radar. Yeah, it's not really working for the weather radar anyway. Some airplanes do. Okay, now we are going to select final heading, which is 246. So fuel balancing is complete. Yes, I'm going to land like this. Fuel pumps both on, and the fuel crossfeed off. Checklist is complete. I can even close this checklist. So 2 miles, gear down, flaps 20, speed back to flaps 20. Now we select minimus 760. Approaching final approach fix. Flaps 30. Speed down to 145. Good afternoon, say Leonardo Orestes. Thank you, obrigado por estar aqui também. So this is our second approach now on the RNP Yankee 25 left, single engine after an engine fire on the left side. There we go, we are below missed approach altitude. We can already select our missed approach altitude of 5,000. And we can do our landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. Checklist complete. Now we have more weather approaching the runway. Let's see. Let's see how all of this goes. Did we get clearance? We got clearance for the RNP, but they didn't say to contact tower, so let's see. We are still waiting to contact tower. Yep.
Speedbird 903 uniform, contact tower 119er decimal 905, Charles.
119er decimal 905, Speedbird 903 uniform. Bye-bye. Okay, all set. 119905. Frankfurt Tower, Mayday, Speedbird 903 uniform. RNP Yankee, runway 25 left.
Speedbird 903 uniform, tower, hello again. The wind is 207 knots, runway 25 left. Clear to land, and please stop on the runway. Fire brigade will meet you there.
25 left, clear to land, stop on the runway, Speedbird 903 uniform. Okay guys, so fuel imbalance, we know about it. It's because we have a lot of thrust on the right engine. We are going to land like this. We are not going to perform a fuel balance right now. In case we go around, we need to do it. So I'm going to cancel ACAS. So checklist, no normal. I'm going to cancel ACAS. So if something else comes up, I can even open the checklist and I say that fuel leak is not suspected. Fuel leak suspected, no. Okay, so I'm going to stand by here. Now I close the checklist. I'll get the message again. I cancel the message. So in case of go around, I just need the procedure itself. Okay, so all fine. I can see the approach light system for runway 25 center, now 25 left. It looks like it's going to be a good approach. Even though the weather is getting close to the runway. Okay. 1,000, we are stable. The 777 does auto land with only one engine. Yes, it does, but not on the RNAV approach like this, okay? Of course, you need the ILS to do approach single engine, okay? So, runway inside, manual flight, flight director.
500. Approaching minimums. 400. Minimums.
Continue. We have the runway inside. I hope we don't lose the runway.
300.
Looks good. It's getting worse and worse as we approach, but it's still good.
100.
Still good.
50. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, hard landing. No reverse. Engine left, speed brake up. Not a very nice landing from my side. $60 knots, idle reverse. Out of reverse, 18 knots. Now out of this auto brake. Auto brake, so now we can stop on the runway. Parking brake set. We have the fire brigade. Everything looks fine. They are going to inspect.
Hi guys, JP, welcome to Frankfurt. You made it safe. You see that you can fly single engine on the 777 by Pmdg without any issue. So that's good. I hope you enjoyed the scenario. If you have any question or comment, please drop it in the Discord channel or in the forum. Thank you for flying it, and see you soon for another scenario. Bye bye.
Thank you, JP. Thank you so much. For sure, not a very nice landing. Hard landing in this case, I would say. I do not know the rate of descent itself, but it looked like actually we can check on the FSI panel. I can tell you from FSI panel our landing report. Actually, not bad, not bad. I can give you the camera of my landing report. Just give me 1 minute. I need to go to the studio mode, and here we are. So I'm going to transition for the FSI panel and the landing report. So basically it was the Pmdg 777-300ER in Frankfurt, runway 25 left, wind 270 at 4, which means 2 knots from the right, 4 knots headwind. Temperature 26 degrees Celsius, which means 78 Fahrenheit. Precipitations, we do have rain. And then our touchdown analysis. Landing distance 493 meters, which is good. Deviation from center line on center line, very good. Touchdown rate of descent minus 158 feet per minute, nice landing. Indicated speed at touchdown 140, exactly what we need. VREF 140. Bank at touchdown 2.1 left, that was satisfactory. That maybe that's why I feel it was a little bit hard, but because of the way that the system got the landing on the left gear and then on the right one, a little bit because of the thrust anyway, something that in real life is much easier to control with the rudder as well. Pitch at touchdown 3.1. The landing was 219.3 and the flight was today. So we land with flaps 30, auto brake 2. We disconnected the autopilot at 340 feet from the airport elevation. We crossed the threshold at 144, was supposed to be 145, and we crossed the threshold at 68 feet, which is okay for this one. There was no localizer and glide slope deviation because we did an RNP. Maximum rate of descent We didn't reach 1000 feet per minute, so that's not too bad. We never got an auto warning, so maximum was 938 at 161 feet. And the speed at 1500, they were approach speed 145 knots. Okay, so basically this was our landing and our approach. Okay, so guys, what I have here, let me see. Yeah, so that's it. If we go outside, we are going to see that it's really bad. We have fire trucks around us. Okay, let me see if the speed brakes are retracted. Yes, I retracted them. This time it worked, because last time I tried, it was a bug. It was not retracting. Okay, so all fine. We made it. We brought the 777 back to Frankfurt after an engine fire. Okay, so let me finish this video by giving you my webcam again. Thank you so much for the people that watch the live broadcast. Thank you for the people that is watching this video later on. So a couple of things that I would like to discuss one more time. Now that we know it was engine fire, so because it was an engine fire, there was no issue with the directional control of the airplane during the takeoff. However, as you notice, and I told you, you are going to wait 400 feet to start your actions about the fire itself. And because you are doing with both engines running initially, when you start reducing your thrust, you are around 1000 feet or even above. That's what happened today, which is completely normal. Then we continue straight ahead. As we were safe, we request the left turn. We came back initially for the ILS. One thing that I missed on the first approach was the PA to the passengers. I give the PA to the cabin crew to tell them that we were okay. I give the needs briefing, which means I told the cabin chief to come inside the cockpit. I let them know that we had an engine fire, but we were coming back with no issues and expecting to land in 10 minutes and maintain the runway. Usually at this stage, when the cabin chief goes back to tell this to the other cabin crew, that's the time that we do the PA to the passengers. I don't really know why I missed that today. I think it was because we were starting the approach itself, because it took a while for me to set up the approach as we were flying, as I was flying alone. And actually a couple of things that I do also in real life I didn't do today. My mistake, so I didn't set the minimums in case of return, so I lost a little bit of time on setting the minimums for the first ILS. And one thing that I would do different, when ATC told us initially to fly heading 090, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, heading 090 or something like that, then he told us to expect ILS to 5 left. At that time, the checklist I think was complete. I'm not sure. Okay, but maybe setting up quickly the ILS, especially because we brief if something goes wrong, we were going to return to this ILS. Actually, the ILS was even on route 2. So if you go here with me, you are going to see that the legs 2 always had the missed approach and then direct to Charlie VOR for the ILS to 5 left. As you can see, it is all here. So maybe activating and executing route 2 would be the easiest way to do it. However, when you are alone and you do not have direct access to the FMC, sometimes it's easier just to activate whatever you have in front of you instead of looking for other pages. Yeah, because if I'm in a real airplane, I will look to my colleague and say, please activate route 2 direct to Charlie, and then we would be flying Charlie, or we would be flying Charlie initially, okay, direct Charlie, Charlie Hotel Alpha, and then once we are inbound Charlie Hotel Alpha to activate the route 2 or something like that. So that's something I would be doing different next time. Apart from this, I really like the procedure itself. On the first approach, we lost ILS indication, so we had to go around. We were not visual with the runway, so we had to go around. One thing, most of the companies around the world, when they have a single engine go around, they go with the go around flaps all the way to the missed approach altitude. Why? Because you do not really know your climb gradient single engine, okay? You know that is going to be more than the required one, but the time to really start accelerating in case of missed approach is not well defined on the approach charts unless you are in France. In France they are really good. They did like this. They tell us the minimum altitude for the missed approach acceleration, and this is ICAO recommendation. I don't know why I never seen any other places, but in France they cover this. So in France, maybe if I had that note on the ILS or on the approach chart itself, I will do it at that altitude. But otherwise, we climb, we want to get out of the ground, and once we reach the altitude, you notice that the airplane in that case already captures, and you can start accelerating and retracting your flaps. Okay, just to finish this one, after the missed approach, we did the RNP Yankee, LNAV, VNAV. We saw the runway around 1,000 feet. They told us to stop on the runway. Some companies, they require us to make a PA to the cabin crew for them to stay seated to make sure that they do not start an evacuation. It depends on the company procedure itself. At this time, as the APU is running, I would keep the right engine running anyway. Talk to the fire brigade. Usually they have a specific frequency, so we talk to them. We tell them, look, we had a fire on the left engine, if you can expect for us. At this time, most probably the fire is out. Even with that rain, the fire will be helping us anyway. So in that case, they will spec the left engine. We confirm it's shut down. So they will say, yeah, there are signs of fire, or no, it doesn't matter. Then we'll have a look on our brakes, on our tires, and we can even do that. So as we landed 10 minutes ago, this is the highest temperature that we are going to get. I'm not expecting high temperatures yet. No high temperatures here because we use auto brake 2, full reverse on the right engine, and the weight was not that heavy. So the airplane was not that heavy, so the weight was not that big. Less than 220 knots. 220 knots, it's a very common landing weight for the 777. So in this case, we can check the pressure for all the tires. Even the fire brigade will give us an idea about our tires. They will confirm that everything is in place, and at this point I'll make a PA to the passengers, something like passengers, hello, this is from the cockpit again. We are going to taxi to our gate. We are getting preparations for your next flight towards London, but we have to disembark this airplane once we are at the gate. So the ground staff will let you know more information about your continuation towards London. Thank you for your understanding one more time. Have a good night. And that's it. Then we taxi to the gate by our own means. We are not heavy. We do constant single engine taxis at this weight, so we will keep doing the same pretty much as a standard procedure. Most probably at this time, as there is person around, take the weather radar out is a good idea. Actually, we take the speed brake, weather radar out, and therefore can even do the after landing, so the APU is already on. The lights, they will stay on, maybe even the wing on will help them to check the engine. And what else? Auto brake goes to off. We retract the flaps once we notice that there is nobody there, and the transponder comes back to transponder. Yep, I'm not going to taxi from now on because otherwise I'm going to hit the fire brigade. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you learned something about dealing with emergency itself, dealing with engine fire on the 777, and especially the considerations that I talked to you in the beginning of this live stream about landing flaps for single engine situations on the 777. Okay, thank you so much, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.